Sup Shredders, my name is Logan, aka Spiderhands, and welcome to an SP Reacts, where today we got ourselves a track from an act named Jazz titled Summer Again. And if we switch over to here, I believe in the Northern Hemisphere is getting pretty close to that, if I'm not mistaken. We've got the art up on the screen there, lots of lovely pictures of summer. We're going to listen through this track from start till finish, and we're going to hear what we think. Let's do it, Summer Again. I like the emphasis on the low mids.
It's starting to feel like summer again, but the thoughts of us stay on my mind. Oh, I know it's summer again, but to keep it real, I don't feel fine.
Great legato.
I feel lost, questioning myself like, what is love? What is love? So I'ma probably step back for now. I gotta think it all through. I gotta make the right move. No, I can't lose. I just wanna go slow, I just wanna chill now. Catch a vibe, maybe ride my bike till the sun goes down. Campfire, light it up now. Let that summer breeze hit my face. Let that summer breeze hit my face. It's starting to feel like summer again, but the thoughts of us stay on my mind. Oh, I know it's summer again, but to keep it real, I don't feel fine. I feel lost, questioning myself like, what is love? What is love? Honestly, I don't need you anymore, even though I still love you and we had history. I could finally say I'm better on my own. Counting up this guac, I do better on my own. That's a fact, and you know. Did me so wrong, yeah, I put that on my soul. Don't try to act like you don't know when you know. But I'ma do me and you could do you. I'ma do my own thing, sipping on the shoes. Sunset coming in, they remind me about you. Wish it could've worked, but I guess it wasn't true. Wish it could've worked, but I guess it wasn't true. Wish it could've worked, but I guess it wasn't true. It's starting to feel like summer again, but the thoughts of us stay on my mind. Oh, I know it's summer again, but to keep it real, I don't feel fine.
Are there additional vocal takes of different vocalists?
Questioning myself like, what is love? What is love?
Okay, that was interesting. I was kind of expecting it to kind of pick up a little bit with like maybe some extra drums or something like that in the later half there, but we kind of stuck to that mood that we instantiated at the beginning, which is an interesting choice. We're going to talk about this track more in the conclusion. Because welcome to the conclusion of my review of this track from Jazz, titled Summer Again. In this section we've got our overall song analysis of everything from lyrics and vocals all the way through to studio production, as well as any applicable constructive critique. And then finally, general thoughts, or my general thoughts from a listener's perspective. But first of all, what do we think this track is about? Well, actually, I have, to be fair, I haven't been provided a copy of the lyrics. So we've got him on the screen there. This is the biggest I can make him on the screen there. I got a lot of these words through, just to be clear, when I was listening to the track. It's not like a lack of understanding or being incoherent. It's just good to be able to sort of check the nuance though. I mean, like, a lot of the first verse is starting to feel like summer again, but thoughts will stay on my mind there. Like, it's like summer should be an enjoyable time, but actually we're still thinking about the person that we used to be with. And they don't feel fine about it. They feel lost. They're questioning, what is love? You know, why can't they move on from it? Why is the summer not as bright as it should be? You know, I'm probably going to step back for now, so I got to think it all through, make the right move. You know, they want to chill now. They want to take their time to sort of like, kind of like, vibrate in their own sort of resonant frequency and sort of figure out what they're going to do next. You know, catch a vibe, maybe ride my bike till the sun goes down. So effectively it's more like, yeah, we're just going to do my own thing until I feel like I can go out again. And then it gets to a later stage there where we sort of develop things as we move, you know, through this process of kind of coming to terms with the situation we're in, mentally, you know, psychologically, with honestly, I don't need you anymore. Even though I love you and we had history, so it's saying, well, actually, I am starting to move on there. Girl, I do better on my own, that's a fact, and you know, did me so wrong. Yeah, I hear it, sipping on this juice, sunset coming in. And we just kind of accept the fact that we wish it could have worked, but it didn't. And like, you know, but I guess it wasn't true, wish it could have worked, but I guess it wasn't true. So we're kind of oscillating on that. We've got this kind of bit of, it's almost like we just got to accept the reality of the situation, but it is difficult to come to terms with regardless, you know, which I think is a common shared acceptance with people who have felt similar feelings. There'll be people that can relate to the subject matter. And then we're kind of closing on that final chorus, you know, but to keep it real, I don't feel fine. I feel lost, questioning myself, like, what is love? What is love? Yeah. And I think that's an effective story to tell. Again, bearing in mind the tale that is being told there, you have a musician who is being quite earnest and honest on the microphone there in terms of the way they communicate their tale. And I think it is a common thing. Like, I can personally relate to it, you know, the feeling of things feeling like they should be better than they are, but you just kind of go back in time and sort of even ruminate on it. I think part of what sells the story so well, given it's kind of like a bit of introspection about the situation. We're in like an inner dialogue or monologue to someone. You've got like what you would say to that person. You've got a vocalist who's very comfortable in their vocal range, their head and chest voice there. And they communicate in a way where it sounds like someone who is going through that. We're not trying to over-articulate or over-emphasize certain notes or lines or anything like that. It's a very kind of measured performance there where we sound like we're struggling a bit, but we're also trying to sort of keep our head up and chin up and kind of move forward and kind of go into the sunlight and kind of like sip on juice and just try and do the best we can to exist in the meantime until we get to a point of equilibrium. There are some additional overdubs that we have there with interesting legato takes, but a vibrato occasionally there. And I do like the layering of the vocals in general there. It provides a nice sort of like resonance within the track in general, again, whether it is alone or stacked or like call and responses there near the end. And it's important to have a lead like this in a track where the instrumental components around it are so, they allow that to be, they are the ground floor effectively, you know, they are the foundation and support of that. They're not trying to sort of like overshadow jazz at any stage. The story is the most important part here. But yeah, ultimately I think the vocals and the mic are really well handled there, where we sound like we're both authentic and precise with our implementation, where there's a kind of vocal harmonies or like hummed lines there or sung lines there, or the words that are expressed. Part of what I also appreciate about this track is that at 3 minutes 48, it's quite well structured. Again, I was kind of expecting there to be an additional percussive element to kind of like change the intensity of the piece or the kind of feel of it later on. I feel like you could have potentially put like a full drum kit in there or something like that to kind of help it bounce a little bit. But at the same time, I kind of get the feeling that if that had occurred, maybe we would have assumed through that things had changed in terms of the journey we were going on there. And effectively, at the end of the track, jazz doesn't necessarily feel like they managed to move too much further than they have. So if that's the case, then that's totally fine. You've got these really nostalgic kind of strings in the background there as like a sub-layer between the different verses and choruses there. And it kind of makes it seem like we're kind of harkening back on memories. There's a warmth to it, a glow that not only I think resembles the sun, but also maybe the warmth that we had towards the person we're discussing. There's this wonderful sort of like electric bass tone as well there that sounds very sort of like 70s there. It sounds like it doesn't sound overproduced. It kind of exists in the mix as a more sort of acoustic analog texture that resonates neatly and doesn't compete with anything else. And you've got those kind of lo-fi kind of like guitar parts in the background there that are fingerpicked there, and it just these jazzy kind of like chords there, these extensions that they have offer a bit of emotional sophistication to it as well that I quite appreciate. And like we kind of navigate between those like upper notes and the lower ones in a way where it's kind of almost claw hammerish, but in a way which is very low key and not pushing forward at a pace. We're taking our time with the way we kind of put those forward as well. There's interesting use of like kind of reverbs and kind of like plate reverbs and sort of like delays and stuff like that to kind of change the feel of these instruments further as well, like to make them a bit more sort of like ethereal or mysterious sounding. We don't want things to necessarily be too blunt because then it'll kind of sound a bit sort of sharp. And we have vocal chops in the background, for example, like the 2 minutes 25 mark, simply for a bit of additional color in there, but it is still very constant regardless to an extent. And to be fair, like I kind of half take back the comment about the strings being a constant. They do come in and out. It's like kind of they take turns between the guitar parts and the strings there. They're a nice flourish though regardless when they come in the mid-range. So I think that if we, consider the guitar, I suppose, being the main accompanying layer there with a variety of different chord progressions there, you can kind of imagine the person sitting on a stool working through this as the string quartet supports them. It's an interesting kind of like environment that they've created throughout this piece there, where I think because of the articulation, the slides, some of the sort of techniques they have on the guitar, as well as the complexity of the chords there, they have enough going on there to not need more. It would have been too busy otherwise if they'd added more sort of like melodic or harmonic instrument layers. And there's like a sense of rhythm and almost like percussion to the guitar parts in terms of how they bounce between the bass notes. That does, doesn't necessarily necessitate having percussion in there. It's just more sort of a subjective thing, I suppose. But I like the shimmers of the strings regardless. I think that we gently explore the higher range with most of the instrument parts whilst maintaining a mid-range on the guitar parts that helps sort of provide a ground floor for jazz to sort of do the thing on, whether it's like the mains or the side vocals, additional parts. And effectively, as we go through this track through its various stages, across 3 minutes 48, it's incredibly smooth listening. It's easy listening. It's just, you feel bad for jazz. You feel for jazz because of both the way they emote and the way they sort of like tell the story that they're telling, but not in a way where it's overdone or like it's too dramatic. Ultimately, thematically, it's a minor leaning track in terms of key signature, with the melodies and the vocals sort of like anchoring to that, but at the same time, it's nuanced because of the extensions and the harmonies in a way where it's not trying to sort of insinuate it as too sad. It's just trying to sort of seem like we're coping, but also letting you know it does hurt a bit, at the very least, and I think that that's kind of the correct balance in terms of the harmonies, the guitar playing, the strings, etc. Having like the main leads and the sub leads and like the further elements there. I think it's a solid connected performance that has chemistry without a note out of place. The studio recording, mixing and mastering is done really well. I like the way that the vocals are presented as well as the guitars, strings, any of the vocals sort of like drops in the background there, any of the other sort of like melodies there. There's no weird resonances in the frequency spectrum. Music surrounds you into headphones there. It oscillates and there's a nice sense of dynamic range to it. Things aren't too squeezed. Nice and loud. A bit of pumping, but not too much. Clearly, it's not like we're doing an EDM track and bus compression or limiting is handled. No real applicable constructive critique on my part. I think that in general, the boxes are ticked. It was good to be able to learn more about jazz and their journey. I think that especially coming into summer in the Northern Hemisphere, I just hope they can find their peace and a place to sort of like come to terms with things if they haven't already. But yeah, I just like that authenticity. And it's really important for music nowadays. But thank you for watching my review of this track from Jazz, titled Summer Again. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, please do go show them some love via the various social medias and a Spotify page, as well as so this is on YouTube as well. And stay cool and stay safe. And please remember to support your local musicians and artists at this point in time, as they need the help more than ever with all the crazy stuff going on in the world. And I'll catch you in the next SB Reacts. Spiderhands out.